Seattle Seahawks at the Pittsburgh Steelers. Seahawks Steelers. Sunday at 1. Steelers favored by 3 here.
Yeah.
1-0 Steelers, the 0-1 Seattle Seahawks. It's easy to remember the records right now. Once you get into week 6, it's not as off the top of my head. But I got this.
You got it.
DK Metcalf revenge game in here. Going up
What
against
is there a
Seattle.
way Aaron Rodgers has been slighted by the Seahawks? Can we, keep the hatred motivation going?
Well, they passed up on him in the draft in 2005. you see.
Okay.
They beat him in the NFC Championship in 2014.
Okay.
So he's still mad about that chip on his shoulder. So yeah, he's upset with this. He hates John Schneider.
They've disrespected him in multiple ways.
Yeah. Mike McDonald. Mike McDonald is like 5 years younger than him, and he's the head coach. Definitely mad at him for something. Of course he's disrespected.
Yeah.
What are you looking for in this one?
I was kind of interested that the Steelers are favored in this game.
Leonard Williams had they played last year. Remember, Leonard Williams, I think this was the game he had the 90-yard pick 6 against Rodgers and the Jets. What were you saying?
I was kind of surprised that the Steelers were favored in this game.
Yeah, this is the one. Look, every week there's some games where it's like, yeah, that makes sense to me. This is what I expected. The Steelers game went a little bit differently. The offense was really good, even without a run game and with some pass protection breakdown. They put up a lot of points, and the defense got beat up against the Justin Fields. Passing attack.
I'm really curious to see what their defensive performance looks like in week 2. That was maybe the most surprising thing from week 1 in the entire NFL was Pittsburgh's defense not doing anything really, like not offering any sort of resistance. Now, look, Justin Fields played really well, and Justin Fields is the type of player that is extremely difficult to defend. There's a reason he has a good win-loss record, right? Because he's a pain in the ass to deal with, even when he's not passing particularly well. And he did pass well against Pittsburgh. So, it wasn't an easy assignment for that defense, even though you think it might be, given it's the Jets and it's Justin Fields. But they still got kind of gashed. And TJ Watt was shut down by a rookie. And, we were talking up that defense as it could be the best defense in the NFL. It could be one of those defenses that carries a football team, even if their offense isn't firing. And it got destroyed week 1. So was that just a bad day at the office, or is this defense nowhere near as good as we thought it was?
A couple individual matchups to watch. Boye Mafe had some success against Trent Williams last week. He goes up against Broderick Jones for the Steelers. We still saw Broderick Jones have some issues last week. Gave up, from Next Gen Stats, 5 pressures and 3 sacks against the Jets in week 1. I think I think Seattle's pass rush has a chance to have success. I mentioned on the show the other day that the Niners' offensive line did a pretty good job for Purdy. And I was talking about the individuals outside of Trent Williams were pretty good. But they did get some pressure on Purdy, against running backs, late in the down. They had some that I saw Next Gen had that they were kind of iffy. So I thought Seattle's front did okay. But I think they have a ton of potential to put pressure on, particularly against Broderick Jones, particularly in this matchup against Seattle. So I'll be keeping an eye on that. Their defensive front. Mike McDonald was asked. He was asked if Tariq Woolen would start, and it was kind of iffy. I think Woolen's had an interesting career where he hit what I thought his 3-year peak could look like. He hit that in year 1.
Yeah,
but it was with Pete Carroll. The last couple of years, though, I don't know if Mike McDonald's a huge fan. I don't know if he's just a good fit. He got beaten deep by Ricky Pearsall for one, and then he was the guy that, honestly, Brock Purdy threw the ball to him in the end zone. And he said, Reek said, hey, I need to attack the ball. And if he did, this is the difference in the game. If Reek Woolen attacks the ball, the game's over. Seattle wins. He kind of just waits for it, fades away a little bit, and then Tongas jumps in and picks it off.
He did also have a spectacular pass breakup that saved. Was it a touchdown or a
I'm just reading the headlines and remembering some plays. That's all. Just keep an eye on it.
He didn't play well, but I would be surprised if your takeaway from that game was I need to bench that guy
in this game, though. And so the DK Metcalf usage is fascinating to me as well. Majority of DK's career, he has been a vertical threat. He runs posts, he runs some slants, but he's a down-the-field threat. There were times when Seattle started to move him around a little bit, put him in the slot, he works the underneath stuff, but it was not really his game, right? It's just, hey, let's move things around and mix things up. And then you see in Pittsburgh a lot of shallow crosses for catch and run opportunities. He had a 30-yarder after the catch. He had a screen that he turned from nothing into about 13, 14 yards. I want to see what that looks like, because I don't think that's his game consistently. I think he is better in the vertical game. And that matchup with Riq Woolen, which happened at practice for about 4 years, when you talk about size and speed and physicality, that's one of the best you'll ever get in the NFL when you see DK Metcalf against Riq Woolen. So that'll be fun to watch in this one when they're matched up. Hey guys, real quick, only 40% of our viewers are actually subscribed, so let's change that. Hit that subscribe button, and now let's get back to the action.
Yeah, it is kind of fun, though, seeing him deployed in a different way. Like, you sort of get reminded that, yeah, I think his skill set definitely plays more for a relatively limited vertical route tree. But with that size and speed, like he's a terrifying matchup anytime you get the ball in his hands. So if it might look a little bit more janky on random precision cuts, but if you can get him the ball, like, he's a nightmare to stop.
The Quentin Johnston shallow cross.
I mean, just the shallow. But even if you can just, even if he does get open enough on a dig route over the middle or whatever, like if you can get him the football, well, suddenly now a cornerback or a safety over the middle is dealing with this dude in full flight who can run, borderline elite sprinter type speeds. Like, he's a nightmare.
Next Gen has Aaron Rodgers with going 8 of 11 on play action, 3 touchdowns. I think the only touchdown that he had not on play action was the tap pass. Again, this is why I was saying throughout the week, like, there were some, quote, easy touchdowns in there. Credit the scheme, credit Arthur Smith. I thought the concern with Rodgers, he played fine overall. The concern with Rodgers, one panic play under pressure. We threw it right to Brandon Stevens, the cornerback last week, who fell down, should have been an ugly interception. Every week, I want to see how the 40-year-old handles pressure, because there have been some ugly plays in there the last couple of years because you're 40, right? When we saw Breeze at the end of his career, Brady at the end of his career would just kind of throw it away and just not deal with it, right? Because you're just not as nimble avoiding that. And again, if Seattle gets pressure up front, I think they have a chance to disrupt this Pittsburgh offense more than the Jets did last week.
You of all people being an anti-ageist type of person. It's disappointing.
No, it's the bad analysis where it's like the relatable aspect. Like, it hurts me to bend over right now. It hurts me to like pick up a pencil off the floor. Therefore, Rodgers, who's 2 years younger than me, like, how could he avoid a pass rush? That's the
got it.
The horrible analysis that gets so personalized.
Yeah,
where it's like, I'm 43, he's 41. Like, how could he even do this? I
mean, at this point, the concern with Aaron Rodgers is Broderick Jones. Like, he has what looks like a very problematic left tackle. And, left tackle is probably still the most important position on the offensive line, and it's where the worst player is for this Pittsburgh team. So if Seattle can get after that and, really attack him, and Rodgers is under a significant amount of pressure during the course of the game, it will be a problem. Yeah, I think all of the worst play from Aaron Rodgers is going to come under pressure now. And that is an inevitable result of aging for almost all quarterbacks. For some reason, Brady, as always, was just impervious to anything.
Yeah, and Rodgers still has the arm talent.
Phillip Rivers, Matt Ryan, like, all these guys reached a point where they could still ball, but if you put them under pressure and the pressure became a bigger thing, it just got awful. So Rodgers, I think, is now in that world where he can still throw the football. His arm is still legit. He can still make good decisions. He can still do what he needs to do. But if you put him under pressure and you force him to move, he can't really run anymore. Like, he looks like an old man relative to his previous nimble, athletic self. And he probably doesn't want to get hit anymore because he's old. So you're getting plays like that where he throws the ball right to Brandon Stevens. Like, if Seattle can cause that as a problem, then that changes things.
And then just Seattle's offense really quick. Tough to find any rhythm on the ground. I thought they started pretty good with Zach Charbonnet running the ball effectively, but just did not have any consistency last week. Didn't see much from the pass game. They did hit Jackson Smith and Jigba down the field a little bit, but he had like 80% of the receiving yards. Need some more options to develop here for Sam Darnold in the throw game, as the coaches say.
Does their offensive line hold up as well in week 2 as it did in week 1? The 49ers, they've got Nick Bosa. They might not have anything else up front.
It also held up until it didn't at the game-clinching sack.
But again, it was the one player that you had identified as a problem
because he's facing Bosa.
Yeah, this week, again, Pittsburgh might have the best defensive front in the NFL, albeit there's some injuries to deal with. But, like, it's more than just one guy on the right side against Abe Lucas and his neck roll, right? Like, the other side is a problem as well. And once they get into the bench, it's still a problem as well. Like, this is a much sterner test, I think, for how that offensive line is going to hold up.
All right, man. Steelers by 3 in Pittsburgh, and it's 39.5 is the over-under here. Another game with some, like a big-name quarterback like Rodgers, but they're expecting more of a defensive type of game. Where are you going to go?
I'm going with the Steelers, even though, as I talked it out, it sounded like I was much more in favor of Seattle.
I will go Seattle, despite the cross-country trip, or the trip to the time zone trip.
Time zones.
That's the big one. I'll take Seattle to cover the 3. We'll get Harry's picks again later. Get him in the app on Sleeper.
Thanks for watching all the way to the end of the video.
Check the Mic is live every Monday, Wednesday, and Thursday, so be sure to hit the subscribe button so you don't miss a thing.
And the all-knowing algorithm is convinced you'll also like these videos, and who are we to argue?